All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about some of the most powerful tools you have as a citizen, the 5 constitutional writs. Now, I know that sounds like some heavy legal stuff, but trust me. Think of them as your own personal superpowers for protecting your rights.
I mean, think about it for a second. What good is owning a piece of land if you can't actually stop someone from just walking on and setting up camp? Your deed is just a piece of paper without a fence or a lock. Well, the same exact logic applies to our constitutional rights.
Look, having fundamental rights is fantastic, but they're not much good on their own. It's kind of like having a collection of priceless jewels but just leaving them out on a table. The Constitution doesn't do that. It gives us a safe, a powerful set of remedies to lock those rights down and keep them protected.
So where do we find these tools? Well, they're baked right into the Constitution, specifically in Articles 3.2 and 226. You can think of these as the master keys that unlock the doors to the highest courts in the land, letting you go straight to them and demand justice.
Okay, so there's a really important difference here you gotta know. Article 32 lets you go straight to the top, to the Supreme Court. And get this, the right to even do that is a fundamental right itself, but it's specifically for when your fundamental rights are violated. Now, Article 22.6 is even broader. It lets you go to a high court not just for fundamental rights, but for, and I quote, any other purpose. That opens up a whole lot of other possibilities.
And you don't have to take my word for how important this is. The chief architect of our Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, famously called Article 32 the very heart and soul of the entire document. He knew that without this one article, all the other rights would just be empty promises. This is what gives our rights teeth.
All right, now, for the main event, let's meet the 5 specific tools the courts use. We call them writs, but I want you to think of them as 5 legal superpowers, each with its own unique way of fighting injustice. Yeah, they've got some fancy Latin names, but don't worry, we're going to break them down and make them super simple.
First up, the big one, probably the most famous and definitely one of the most powerful, Habeas Corpus. In Latin, it literally means to have the body. It's a very direct and serious command from a court.
The easiest way to think about this, it's basically the court sending out an official, "Where are they?" order. If someone you know has been detained and you think it's illegal, this writ forces the authorities to physically bring that person to court and explain, legally, why they're being held. If they can't give a good reason, that person walks free, immediately.
And this isn't just theory. This has real-world, life-changing power. Just look at the case of Rudolph Shaw. This man finished his prison sentence, but was kept locked up for an extra 14 years. Can you imagine? A writ of habeas corpus not only got him released right away, but the court also ordered that he be paid damages for that illegal detention. That's power.
Okay, superpower number 2, Mandamus. In this one, well, the name really says it all. It translates very simply to we command. It's the court putting its foot down.
Here's the scenario. A public official has a specific job to do. It's not optional, it's literally written in the rules, it's their duty. But for whatever reason, they're just not doing it. Mandamus is the court stepping in and saying, hey, you have a public duty you're neglecting. Time to do your job. It's an order to get to work.
And this can be used against all sorts of bodies, government officials, universities, you name it. But there is one crucial condition. There has to be a clear, public duty that they are refusing to perform. For example, a financial co-op had promised funds to Lotus Hotels and then backed out. The court issued a mandamus, commanding them to follow through on their duty.
All right, our next 2 writs are like a tag team, and it's best to learn them together. Prohibition and Certiorari. And I've got a super easy way for you to remember them, using that old saying, prevention is better than cure.
So check this out. P for prohibition is for prevention. It's used to stop a lower court from moving forward with a case it has no business hearing in the first place. It prevents a legal mistake from happening. Then you have C for certiorari, which is the cure. This is for when a lower court has already made an illegal decision. Certiorari comes in and quashes or cancels that bad judgment. It cures the mistake after the fact. See? Prevention and cure.
So let's zoom in on certiorari for a second. The name literally means to be certified. It's basically the higher court saying to the lower court, hey, send us all the paperwork on this case. We need to check your work and certify that your decision was actually legal.
So, when can a higher court actually step in and do this? Well, it could happen if the lower court just didn't have the authority, the jurisdiction to hear the case, or if it went way beyond its powers. It can also happen if the court's decision violates the basic principles of a fair hearing, something we call natural justice.
All right, for our last superpower, let's try another quick analogy. Imagine you walk into a classroom at a top university. It's totally fair to ask another student, hey, how'd you get in here? Did you pass the entrance exam? What gives you the authority to sit in this class?
That very simple, direct question is the whole idea behind our fifth and final superpower, Quo Warranto. It literally translates to by what authority or by what warrant.
So, what's this for? It's used to challenge someone's legal right to hold a public office. The court essentially asks that person, prove to us you have the legal right to be in this position. If they can't show a legitimate claim, if their appointment was flawed somehow, they have to leave the office. It's all about ensuring public jobs are held by people who are legally supposed to be there.
Whew, we've covered a lot of ground and met all 5 of our legal superpowers. Let's do a really quick recap, just to lock it all in.
Okay, lightning round. Habeas corpus, to have the body, is your go-to for fighting illegal detention. Mandamus, we command, is for making a public official do their job. Prohibition is for preventing a bad court decision, and Certiorari is for curing one. And finally, Quo Warranto, by what authority, is for questioning someone's right to hold a public office. Simple as that.
So here's your 30-second takeaway. Your rights are not just suggestions, they are protected by powerful constitutional remedies. You can access these through Article 32 for the Supreme Court and Article 226 for the High Court. Remember, habeas corpus frees people. Mandamus forces action. Prohibition prevents mistakes. Certiorari cures them. And Quo Warranto checks authority. These are your constitutional safeguards.
And that's a wrap. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you know these 5 legal superpowers aren't just words in a textbook, but are real, actual tools you can use, how does that change the way you see your rights as a citizen?
Hey, if you found this explainer helpful and it made these concepts a little less intimidating, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and definitely subscribe for more deep dives like this one. And of course, if this could help someone you know, please share it with your classmates. Thanks for tuning in.